Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the final presenter this morning, in this morning's session, is Rob Tyson, the Managing Director of Peel Mining Limited. Mr. Tyson is a geologist with more than 20 years in the resources industry, having worked in exploration and mining-related roles for companies including Cyprus Exploration, Queensland Metals, Murchison Zinc, Normandy Mining and Equigold. Mr. Tyson is the Managing Director of Peel Mining Limited, a role he has held for 12 years since that company's inception. Please welcome Rob Tyson.
Thanks very much, Marcus. Thanks to Diggers and Dealers for allowing Peel to present its case again this year. Our case is the same as it was last year, just a little further down the track. High-grade base metals in the Cobar Basin. That's certainly what we've been discovering over the last 7 or 8 years.
Folks, lunch is ready. Lunch is ready.
Looking at the corporate snapshot of Peel, we've got about 240 million shares on issue at the moment and a few options out there. Market cap at the moment is about $60 million. We have about $8 million cash in the bank. We also own 31% of Saturn Metals, which was spun out last year. It has a gold project in the Eastern Goldfields, 685,000 ounces of gold. They've had some tremendous exploration success in their own right recently, and they're approaching 1 million ounces of gold not far from Gwalia. And I'd recommend, if you get an opportunity, to pop by and talk to Ian Bamborough, who's in attendance as well. Our largest shareholder, St Barbara Limited, are just up the road, obviously, from Saturn Metals. Following that, we have Hampton Hill Mining, which is essentially Josh Pitt, who discovered Golden Grove back in 1971. Very much a geologist, and he loves exploration. We also, directors have skin in the game, and then a high net worth individual rounding out the substantial shareholders. A three-man board at the moment, about to become four. So Jim Simpson is about to step on as an executive director to help us with our mining development plans as we go forward, and he'll be joining us September 1. So we're looking forward to Jim's participation and knowledge. He has a great deal of knowledge, particularly around Cobar-style deposits, having been the previous MD of our neighbour, Aurelia Metals. So we're building a high-grade base metals company. We've got 3 major discoveries that we've made over the last 7 years. Mallee Bull was the first one, a copper-rich deposit, followed by Wirlong, another copper-rich deposit. But Waggatank Southern Nights is the one that we own 100% of, and it's certainly been our focus over the last 2.5, 3 years. We've got an excellent team, a real mix of practical and technical skills, and a couple of our guys are up here, so we do have a booth. I think it'll be gone in a minute, but if you get an opportunity, pop by and say hello. Our exploration approach from day one has always been about money into the ground. That's the only way you can obviously discover these things. We innovate, and we do spend quite a bit of time on R&D internally, in the sense that we've been building proprietary information around how to crack the code, and we believe we've done that in the Cobar Basin. And we've also had some partners along the way. So JOGMEC, the Japanese government entity, has been involved in some of our tenure, and also Toho Zinc, CBH Resources, are involved at Mallee Bull. Our ground, look, Cobar Basin, 150 years this year of high-grade base metals and precious metals. It is really one of Australia's great mining jurisdictions. It's certainly an easy place to operate, and we very much enjoy being in the district. I guess we've established essentially a preeminent position in the basin. We dominate the exploration landscape. So looking at the metals mix of Cobar, it's really a mix of precious and base, so copper, lead, zinc, silver, gold. Over 6 million ounces of gold's been produced. In total, the copper essentially reflects what's come out of CSA mine, and the lead, zinc, silver to a large degree out of the Endeavour mine. They are world-class deposits, long life, high grade. CSA's down to nearly 2 kilometres below surface these days, and as highest grade copper mine in Australia. We've made the 3 discoveries over 7 years. We dominate the central and southern parts of the Cobar Basin in terms of greenfields exploration tenure. The orange colour is essentially our 100% owned ground. So the prize, this is a long section through the Peak line of lode, owned by Aurelia Metals, our neighbour. And I guess what you see is that usually what you find at surface is the tip of the iceberg. These deposits have deep plumbing and they cluster and they stack. So you have to persevere with the drill bit, and hence when you do, you'll find that there's a lot more to these systems than what initially starts out. So we're very proud of our record of putting the money into the ground. We've certainly never been a lifestyle company, as can happen in the mining industry on occasion. And we've drilled a lot, and a lot of our drilling's diamond drilling, so it's expensive drilling. But we've done over 200 kilometres of drilling, and as a junior company, we think that's an achievement. Obviously important to be making the discoveries, no point drilling too many dusters. But we do have a running joke that we're a money laundering company for drillers. So, look, we are unlocking the basin's next mining development opportunity. Wagga Tank, Southern Nights, 100% owned. We put out a maiden resource a couple of weeks ago, just under 4 million tonnes at just under 9% zinc equivalent. It's a great launch pad. We see great opportunity to build on that resource. There was quite a bit of fruit left on the vine at the end of the resource estimation process, so we have a number of go-tos as part of our next program of work. Mallee Bull, 50% owned. It's one of Australia's highest grade undeveloped copper resources, and I'd make the point with both these deposits, there is a core of high grade within these systems that is essentially where the money printing can occur, and we're very excited about the potential going forward. So on a regional sense, we've got lots of blue sky. There's a large number of targets that we can go to, and we are working up as we persist. So Southern Nights, it's a major zinc-rich mineral system. It was originally, Wagga Tank was discovered in the mid-70s and drilled out until 1989 by a number of companies, but then walked away from and essentially land banked and forgotten. We picked it up in 2016, and we've done over 80,000 metres of drilling since then, and we can see a large-scale VMS system taking shape. It's early days. We certainly see analogies with Rosebery-style VMS, and we can see that this system's going to continue growing as we continue to push it forward. So about 1 million tonnes has landed in the indicated resource. It's high grade, 1 million tonnes, about 14% zinc equivalent, so that's essentially the core of this system. But as I said, we can see lots of potential to move more mineralisation into the system, but also increase the quality. So I guess we're hoping that we can essentially we're planning to get out there again very soon and increase the drill density sufficiently to hopefully double the amount in the indicated resource category, and also push the overall resource towards 5 million tonnes. And the work we've done to date has been very efficient, about $33 US per zinc equivalent tonne cost to date. So the core that I mentioned, so just over 1 million tonnes of 14% zinc equivalent. The bulk of that at the moment is above 250 metres below surface. So it starts at about 120, 130 metres below surface. Some stellar intercepts, up to over 55% combined zinc lead, over 18 metres in one of the most significant drill holes there. But essentially these pods are very high value propositions, and we see good potential to grow this particular lens. And also the odds are we believe that there'll be repetitions. So we think that this underpins the prospects of a development there sooner rather than later. This is what some of that core looks like. So it is classic VMS foliated type massive sulphide material, up to 69%, 70% combined zinc lead over 1 metre intervals in places. So a wonder of Mother Nature. And the system is open pretty much in all directions. So we've got 2 kilometres long strike to the system, so it's a camp scale system. We've only drilled to about 400 metres below surface, and we've seen some massive sulphide at that depth that really needs follow-up drilling. It didn't make it into the resource estimate this time, but we do have plans to go to it. So when you compare where we're at versus other Australian VMS or Cobar style systems, look, we've landed in a similar spot to a lot of other deposits prior to development commitments. So we think it bodes very well for the future. And I'd point to Golden Grove as an example of what these systems can do. And this is just the Gossan Hill part of Golden Grove. There's another part to the long section which covers the Scuddles area. But you've got to stay the course and persist to extract the maximum value. And Golden Grove, I understand, is going great guns still, over 30 years later. The exploration potential is excellent. So we've got a system, essentially a ring-like structure with a heat source or engine driving the mineralisation at depth, we believe, some sort of intrusive. 4 kilometres to the east of Southern Nights is a prospect called Fence Line where we see very similar mineralisation. So a lot of work to come over the years ahead. So the forward program, essentially, look, we've finished all the drilling, we've put out the resource. We're going to complete an internal scoping study based off what we know right now. But we'll be back out there imminently with follow-up drilling to expand that resource and increase the quality at the same time. We've got substantial met test work underway and the results look really promising, so we look forward to pushing that along as well and getting that out to the market in due course. But we will continue to, I guess, move on to the pre-development opportunities that exist, and Jim Simpson, we're looking forward to him helping in that regard. So Mallee Bull, very high-grade core to Mallee Bull, but it's in its own right, just under 7 million tonnes at about 2% sort of copper equivalent, so it's a very significant deposit. We've drilled as deep as about 800 metres below surface, and it was still there, but getting thin, and each drill hole was costing around 300 grand, so you can't do too many of those. But it's an excellent proposition to be advanced towards mine development. We're looking at an exploration decline there. Our partner, CBH Resources, own the Endeavour Mill. That's likely to go on to care and maintenance at the end of this year. So there will be a lot of spare capacity. And we're looking at that as an option. Certainly Southern Nights, we believe, gives us critical mass, and that another option is the potential to build a new mill in the southern part of the basin, designed specifically for these 2 deposits. But in the short term, the plan is to look at an exploration decline, and we're getting that permitted at the moment. We've got a very high-grade lens sitting at the top of it, the Silver Ray lode. It's a zinc-lead silver-rich lens. We think that'll give us some good payback on an initial investment to get that exploration decline down, and that obviously then becomes sunk capital and established infrastructure to allow us to really access the deeper levels of Mallee Bull. And that's where we've had our best copper hits. There's a core of very high-grade copper, very similar to CSA in style. Dead ringer, you can't tell the difference when you put them side by side. We produce a very sweet concentrate out of that from metallurgical test work, and that's really the main game. That's essentially the second stage of the proposition to get down to that. It sits at about 400 metres below surface, down to 700. So it's a very high-grade Cobar-style copper deposit, and obviously with the talk around electrification of the world's economy, we think it's a fantastic asset to have within us. Last but not least is our second discovery in timeline, Wirlong copper discovery Cobar style system for certain. It's in joint venture with JogMec, and they've been a great partner. We've been working away there diligently. We've had the rig back out there. We think we've got a much better structural understanding of it. But essentially we see that this could be a very similar proposition to Mallee Bull, very similar style. So we will continue to drill that out over the year or so ahead. So when you put your money into Peel, you know that it's going to the right places, and you know that you're going to have a good chance of seeing some excellent drill core come back. We've established a great ground position in the Cobar Basin, certainly coveted by, I think, other parties, and we're very pleased to be there. We've worked very hard to establish it, and I guess we've done it with a tight capital structure. We've made sure we've maximised every dollar we could. So thanks for your interest today.
Questions for Rob? No questions. We will leave it there. Thank you very much, Rob.